Hi there, good morning. I'm here to read a little bit out of my book, The End is Nigh Again, but this time we really mean it. And it's a book about Jehovah's Witnesses and about my 21 long and very boring years as a Jehovah's Witness. I'm reading from chapter 7, which is about disfellowshipping. Now, for those who don't know the term, disfellowshipping really is another word for ousting somebody out of the congregation, and it's a very, very strict and stern discipline that the Jehovah's Witnesses use for anybody who isn't following the rules. I'm one of those. Now, what it means is that once somebody is disfellowshipped from the congregation, then nobody is allowed to talk to them, and that includes family as well. And it's not uncommon to see a Jehovah's Witness putting their life at risk running across a road to avoid having to pass a disfellowshipped person. Okay, so what I've done is I've paralleled Jesus' loving parable about the Good Samaritan. Who is my neighbour? A man asked Jesus one day as he sat enjoying a coffee in between miracles. Ever ready to cobble a parable together at the drop of a hat, Jesus proceeded to tell him the story of a Jew who'd been attacked by robbers and left for dead on the roadside. The story unfolded that, as the man lay there, mourning and bleeding copiously from his extensive wounds, a priest happened to walk by. Now, the priest was a man of God and had served his whole life in the glorification of his one and only Heavenly Father. Yet, noticing out of the corner of his eye that the chap lying on the roadside was in fact a Jew, the priest picked up his skirts and, looking the other way, buggered off as fast as his legs would carry him, thus leaving the wounded man to perish. A little while later, along the same road happened a Levite. The Levites were reputedly good men who helped the priests in their duties and were rumoured to have a pretty good relationship with him upstairs. However, seeing the wounded Jew prostrate on the ground, the Levite purposefully looked away and, wandering off down the road, roundly ignored the man's supplications. The poor Jew was getting desperate now, and what was more, was losing his faith in mankind faster than he could say, "Ignorant bunch of bastards." It was then, just when he thought all hope was lost, that along came a Samaritan. The Samaritans were, if anything, the Jews' #1 enemy. They disliked each other immensely and were constantly fighting one against the other. This Samaritan, however, saw the Jew's plight and, feeling compassion toward him, took some oil and wine from his mule and bathed the man's wounds. Then, mounting him on his animal, he took him to a hostel and paid the owner sufficient money to take care of the man until such time as he was back on his feet. So kind was he that he didn't ask for anything in return, nor did he give his name. As Jesus' story drew to a close, he gazed deeply into the man's eyes and asked, "Now tell me, my son, has that given you your answer?" "Well, no, not really," he replied, a little crotchety at having had to listen to Jesus ramble on for 10 minutes. "I only asked you who my neighbour was, and I didn't count on a long-winded story like that one. It's quite simple, really. I've got a new neighbour who I haven't met yet, and I wondered if you knew him. That's all." And with that, the man wandered off to look for someone who could answer his question without giving him a right old cock and bull story. Despite the mix-up between the two, however, Jesus' story made it into the Bible, and the parable of the Good Samaritan became one of his most popular stories. Since then, every religious group has taken pleasure in recounting it to their children, whilst at the same time contradicting everything it stands for by condemning, murdering, torturing, stretching, crucifying, massacring, and generally spilling seas of blood in the name of their faith. It really is one of those stories that all religions seem to love to talk about and yet struggle to live by, and none more so than the Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, were I to draw a few comparisons with the parable based on my own past experience, then in my view the witness organisation certainly wouldn't be the Samaritan. Nor would it be the Levite, nor the priest. Rather, it would be the filthy bunch of robbing bastards that beat the Jew up in the first place and left the poor bugger for dead. Thank you. There'll be more. Of course, if you'd like to read my book, then all you need to do is click the link on this video. Thank you.